So, hello everyone, welcome, and welcome to the start of a new week and a new series. And this week's topic will be compassion, following last week's topic on love. And in preparation for talking about this guided meditation, I would like to make the point that the best forms of compassion arise out of being well settled in awareness, well settled in being mindful. That it's important not to have compassion in the lead, but rather compassion is awareness is the lead, or awareness is the boat that compassion rides. And if compassion is in the lead by swimming, it's a lot of work to keep swimming. There's not much ability to do much else. But if compassion is supported by awareness, then compassion can come to a kind of fullness. So awareness first, and then compassion. And so here we are to meditate before this topic of compassion. So we have mindfulness first, awareness first. And perhaps to maybe interest you in your meditation, your awareness for this meditation. So you're curious, like, what is this? And maybe even a little bit of awe of this capacity you have to be aware. The question is, how is awareness? What is about the nature of awareness? What's the quality, the properties of awareness? What are the benefits of awareness that makes it a good support for compassion? Don't think about this so much, but enter into the world of mindfulness, the world of awareness. Really stay close to it. And in the process of it, you might discover some of the answers to this. Maybe you'll discover it after the meditation. So, assuming a meditative posture, and as I like to say lately, is that it's a posture that is unobstructed, that nothing within us is crunched up or blocked or held in check, or it's a posture that allows a feeling of openness in the body. And it's a posture that allows for a deep relaxation. And the combination of unobstructed flow of life within us and a deep relaxation go hand in hand. That which flows unobstructedly, the way that we're animated, is what brings wakefulness, alertness. Relaxation keeps everything calm, non-reactive, quiet. And together they make a wonderful partnership. Gently closing your eyes and feeling, sensing this posture of yours, this body of yours, as if all you need to do is to discover how it is right now. No need to judge it or be disappointed or try to fix it. Just become aware of this body. And awareness at all is borders on being permissive. Just allowing it to be there and you discovering. And then to take some gentle, deep breaths, maybe 3/4 as deep as you can breathe. And exhaling longer than you normally would. Maybe 1/4 longer than usual. And as you exhale, a longer exhale, let there be a quieting of the thinking mind. Especially as you get to the end of the exhale. And then letting your breathing return to normal. And to continue relaxing the body. Maybe with each exhale, and then letting yourself breathe normally. Settling yourself into breathing. Almost as if your whole body can settle into the sensations of your body breathing, the movements of the body, the expansions and contractions. Maybe even settling into the belly, soft belly, where the softness of the belly varies as you breathe in and breathe out. And then sitting here quietly, aware of your present moment experience, aware in a kind of silent way, without discursive thought, without conversations in your head or story images with your eyes. Where you're aware of it all, including the thinking. Awareness that's independent of everything. It knows. It's mindful. Without being for or against. Without being identified or defined by what it's aware of. mindful, not thoughtful. After meditating these minutes, still quiet with the eyes closed, what has happened to you in the course of the meditation? Are you a little calmer? Do you feel more aware or sensitive to your experience here and now? Might you be a bit softer or predisposed to be kinder? Might you be more aware than usual of how involved you are in thinking and reacting to things? Whatever way you are, it's okay. But is there a way that how you are now can be a support for compassion? Compassion for yourself, compassion for others. Is there any way that you can build on how you are at the end of the meditation? To have more compassion for yourself, for the world. How does meditation support compassion? Both on its own, in some way that we consciously use the meditative experience to support compassion. And then coming to the end of the sitting, to open your hearts, your minds to the world around you, and to consider how you can live this day with greater kindness and greater compassion, greater care for others. May it be that this meditation we've done today serves for the welfare and happiness of others. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be peaceful. And may all beings be free. Thank you. So with this talk, I begin a 5-part series on compassion. And compassion is one of the wonderful capacities that human beings have. And probably it's a capacity which is underutilized, maybe even underappreciated. And it can make be the central organizing principle for human life. What gives life purpose, meaning, direction, support, inspiration. And that's certainly been true for me, and I think for a good part of my adult life, that compassion was the central organizing principle, that I set my direction of my life based on compassion for the suffering of the world. And whether that's still the case is maybe a matter of kind of subtlety, that I don't know if it's still compassion or something that's kind of almost the same as compassion. Things change and morph over time, and now maybe the central principle is what I call care, but that somehow is, I don't know, a little different than compassion, but compassion. And the simplest definition of compassion is being sensitive to the suffering of usually others, sensitive to the suffering of others, in such a way that we have the aspiration, the wish, the desire to alleviate that suffering. So those two things, sensitive to suffering and the desire to alleviate it. And those, when it's compassion, the Buddhists put focus on compassion. It's not an obligation. It's not something we should be doing. We might want to do it, but it's meant to be something that wells up within. We talk about being compassionate, but when some people hear the idea that we should be compassionate, they interpret the be part as do. We should do compassion. And and it's very profound, this idea that we be compassion rather than we do compassion. Because with the idea of being compassionate, that's something that wells up. That's something just kind of oozes out of us, or kind of there for us. It's not something that we have to make happen or act in a certain way. But this way of being is a is a profound possibility that has different characteristics and qualities. And so in this week, I'm going to talk about 5 different characteristics or aspects of compassion. Only the 5th, which is action, meaning that for this being compassionate, there's a whole slew of ways of being in ourselves that sets the stage for compassionate action. And without that preparation, without that foundation, then compassionate action might not be compassionate. It might be actively involved with alleviating suffering, but it could be done with anger, it could be done with distress, it could be done with a sense of strain and stress and tension, and it can be done in a way that that it can be exhausting or stressful or worse for people. But how is it that compassion can be enacted and acted on without it being exhausting, without it diminishing us? So that the compassion is sweet. There's a beauty and a kind of profound, beautiful pleasure that comes along in us in the compassionate action. So for that to happen, 4 other things kind of would be good to gather together and have as part of it. So the 5 things I'll be talking about today all start with A. So maybe that's helpful for remembering. And so today I want to talk about awareness. Tomorrow, attunement. A little different than maybe empathy, but attunement to others. And then appreciation. And then aspiration. And then action. So awareness, attunement, appreciation, aspiration, and action. So those first four then support the action. And so to be grounded in those or have those developed in us and or practiced in us, then the compassionate action is well supported, is kind of has a chance to be a beautiful thing, a profound thing that we're just glad to have it, to feel it. There's not necessarily any distress with it. So it begins with awareness, mindfulness, attention. And here there's a kind of very important point I want to make about awareness practice or having a strong presence of attention, awareness, mindfulness. And that is that we're not leaning into things, we're not sinking into things, but there's a kind of autonomy, maybe not in ourselves in all the ways, but there's an autonomy in being aware. There's a capacity to be attentive without being entangled or caught or reactive to what is happening. It would be a little bit like being at a gathering of people who are, maybe they're having an angry shouting match between each other, maybe they're, I don't know what, being really afraid and running around kind of not knowing what to do. And you stand in the middle of them and you care for them, you're supporting them, friend to them. But it's clear that you've kind of like, you're not in the quicksand with them. You're not kind of involved with the anger and caught up in the fear, but you're present. It's a little bit like you're been standing on a stool maybe above the fray, looking down at it all, kind of amazed. What's going on here? This is quite something. My first experience of this possibility that was kind of an inkling, a glimpse that made a big difference for me was my second year in college. I guess I was 19 or so. We were living in my four other guys and I were living in a apartment, 3-bedroom apartment, and with a balcony, sliding door to the living room. And I was out on the balcony with the sliding door closed, and two of my roommates were on the couch in the living room having an animated conversation. And all I could see was their gestures and animation. I couldn't hear the words. And not knowing what they were talking about, but just watching how animated they were, I could feel I was present and attentive, but there was no entanglement. I wasn't caught in what they were saying. It was like I was autonomous, I was free, I was available, I was there. And that experience of being aware of people actively kind of having an animated conversation and my being free of it, was the first glimpse I had of that possibility. This is not the same thing as aloof. This is not the same thing as being removed or indifferent. It's just that we might have all kinds of feelings and connections to them, attunements and aspirations and interests in them. But there's a way in which the awareness is calm, is peaceful, is not ruffled or agitated, is not leaning into. And one way that awareness gets mixed up to and identified with what's happening is when the awareness is pulled in to the thoughts we're having, the discursive thoughts. And it's almost as if we become the discursive thoughts, and the awareness then is happening through the filter of those discursive thoughts. Or we get caught up in the emotions and feelings we have, and the awareness gets kind of channeled through those in order to be aware of the world. And with a clear awareness is its own thing. it's a kind of when it's really kind of strong, there's a clarity that it's above the fray or step back from being entangled, or it's just there, present, very present there, but is upright and autonomous, clear, open, available, not identified by anything, not caught by likes and dislikes. It knows the likes and dislikes. It knows discursive thinking, but it's not those things. To cultivate this kind of sense of autonomy in the awareness itself is very, very important for compassion, because then compassion has a channel from which to be clean, a channel with which not to be entangled, not to be reactive, not to be mixed up with the whole range of emotions that might be coming, not mixed up with all the story making of the mind, discursive thinking and beliefs and judgments that we might have. And so it kind of creates a context and a foundation for being compassionate. Without that, if there's a headlong rush into being compassionate, then awareness gets pulled along. We're not so present and attentive to what we're doing that whatever little awareness is present is being hijacked or being mixed up with our reactivity, our sense of duty, our sense of alarm, our sense of being in a hurry, our sense of requirement, obligation, our sense of distress. All kinds of things come along if awareness is not autonomous. If awareness has this kind of upright autonomy where it's standing on its own 2 feet and is not being pushed around by the winds of life, then there's lots of room for some of the deeper well springs of the best qualities we have to flow into that space. But if awareness has been hijacked and is caught up and not quite there, then these deeper qualities are not as easily available. So awareness, mindfulness, attention, to really learn it, develop it, being grounded in it, have faith in it. If you hear the idea that you should be more compassionate, I would propose that the best way to interpret that or take that on is don't be compassionate. Begin by slowing down, standing straight and tall, and being metaphorically, and just being aware. And see if you can find that place where awareness is autonomous or free, kind of like lotus blossoming above the muddy waters. So the healthy foundation for compassion begins with awareness. And with that kind of autonomous awareness, then we're ready for the attunement with someone else, that attunement to their suffering. And what that means I'll talk about tomorrow. And so what I'd like to recommend, if you're interested in an exercise for the next 24 hours, is when you're in some of a situation where nothing's really required for you to do anything, but you're aware of someone else's suffering. See what you can discover about an autonomous awareness, being really present for the person, for the situation, not removed, not aloof, but to really kind of open to the situation with clear awareness, but where the awareness is autonomous, where the awareness is not entangled or caught up in the situation. So the best options for doing this is a situation where you're not going to be acting to help someone do something. It's some situation, in the public where you see something that's someone suffering, but there's other people helping, you're not going to help, or you read about someone in the news or something. So, thank you.